Welcome to another episode of the BGC podcast. Today I have the pleasure of having Mr. Orson Rosas. Did I say that right?
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have been following you for quite a long time, man.
Thank
And I
you.
want to make sure, did you, because I think I read someplace this and I just want to make sure I have the right information. Did you play all public courses in New Jersey or
That's right. Yeah.
most?
That was my goal. And that's what I set out to do in 2015. It's a long story about how I finished, but yeah, I ended up playing every single public course and probably more than most people would count. I counted absolutely everything, but yes, all public courses in New Jersey.
And what's that number? How many of them?
So if you count the way I counted was anything that has a scorecard and each hole has a yardage. Um, and that includes a number of pitch and putts that people may probably not want to play. And then if your course has multiple nines and each of those is indexed individually, so only 1 through 9, as opposed to, odds on on the front nine and evens on the back nine,
Mhm.
those individual nines counted as three separate courses, let's say. So places like Neshannock Valley, places like Flanders Valley does it. And there's probably a few others that don't come to mind immediately, but those were the criteria. And when you break it up that way, it was 175 courses at the time I finished the first time. And then there was one course that was built after I was finished. And that made 176 total.
And which one was that one?
That's the course in Old Bridge, the
Oh,
road.
the
Yeah.
Rose. Yeah, the Rose.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice, nice. And how did this idea of playing every single public course come about? Was it like, did you decide, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and play every single course, or you just started, you know,
No.
taking
Yeah.
pictures and blogging and stuff, and
It was a
and
complete
going from there?
accident. It was a complete accident. So Uh, I was playing probably just a handful of courses at the time with friends. I would just go out and where people wanted to play. So if it was local, I was in Somerset County at the time. We would play the Somerset County courses, or I had friends still back up in Bergen County, and we played pitch and putt courses in New York. But I was playing Hyatt Hills one day, and at Hyatt Hills, we got paired up. Actually, we didn't get paired up. So I was playing with a friend of mine, and I don't know how long we were in, 6 holes or something. The group behind us starts hitting into us. And I was like, what's going on here? This is crazy, right? Anyone who plays golf knows that's disrespectful. I mean, and I doubt we were that slow. I won't say we were fast at the time, but we weren't so slow that you needed to hit into us from the tee on a par four. And they come up, we wave them up, and they say, so sorry about that, we're just in a rush. This was a morning round. They're like, we're working in the afternoon, do you mind if we join you just to finish up quicker? They were really nice about it, and we said, yeah, no problem. We got to talking, and the one guy said, I'm playing all the public courses with my wife. And I had never heard of anything like that. I was never connected to golf. I slowly got into golf over the years, but so something like that, just to state a goal, I was like, that sounds incredible. Like immediately, I was like, that sounds absolutely incredible, and I need to do that. And so we talked, and he talked for a bit about where he was and the number he thought it was. And I got home and I immediately set out to say, okay, what are all the public courses in the state? So this was 2015, I think. And yeah, fall of 2015. And I just made myself a list. I tried to go online everywhere, and everywhere I could find that there might be a public course. And that's when I started. So that's how it happened. It was somebody else's goal, and I just
Mhm.
said I need to do that too.
Is that did you start putting on Instagram, or was it just on the vlog, or how do you start, keeping track of all these things?
Yeah, yeah. It was the blog mostly, but I think I almost simultaneously decided I should probably. I was not a social media person before that. I think I have a Facebook account that was rarely used, and I was like, okay, this is a reason to do social media, right? It's a story to tell. There's something here to share with people. So it was the blog first, and the blog was really just I need to catalog for myself, Like I want a record of everywhere I've played, and maybe if I have some things to say about it in my round there or my time or whatever, that's where that will live. And so it was create the blog first, and then after that it was like, okay, I might be able to share the blog with people on social media along with whatever pictures and posts.
Hmm.
So it was the blog. I think I started a Twitter account first, and I may have also done Instagram at the same time, but I was way more involved in building a Twitter following, and that seemed to take off easier actually. And then Instagram as well after that.
Yeah, but and what was the hardest part of all these? Because I like I told you before we joined, like I actually like I had an account back then that was called Public Birdies, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this as well.
Okay.
And after one summer, I realized, okay, like this is just not gonna happen. you know, like
Yeah.
this is just very difficult. Yeah.
You have to want it. I think I'm wired like that. That not that this is something to want. That's not the way I mean it. Like
Mm.
it's just an odd thing, almost exactly like you put it for yourself, where it is accomplishable, right? Like if you have enough time, and we're very fortunate to play golf, right? If you have the health, you have the money to occasionally go out and play golf, count your blessings, right? So I understood that, and the one thing that the person I met and said he was doing with his wife, he said there's no timeline, and I was like, that also appeals to me. Golf is something you can play well into retirement, well until some people play until they die, basically. And I was like, okay, if this takes me 20, 30 years, no big deal, but I'm going to count along the way and see where I go. And I think I'm wired to say, if something just takes time that some people may feel like this is not how I want to spend my time, like I'm all of a sudden encouraged to do it. That motivates me. Like, hey, listen, all this takes is a little bit of financial resource to pay for a round of golf somewhere, but then also the time to dedicate it. So the hardest things were finding the time, right? So when I started, I had young kids, and I thank my wife, who was very gracious about when I said, "Hey, I'm going to do this." As much as we could, I was able to go out on a weekend or something, or if I was able to take a day off, like we made it work. And it was slow going for a while. But beyond the time was the logistics, like just planning out. Okay, there's some courses left, and as I got through the journey, um, you start to realize like you had spontaneously planned some days where it's like, okay, I'll go here, I'll go there. Who has a tea time? That's the other thing. And later and later, it got to the point where like courses were really, really scattered. So it was kind of annoying because it was like, hey, I have a course to knock out in Sussex County, but I also have some left in Cape May County, right? And you
Yeah.
can't really plan a back-to-back day there. But I made it work. And yeah, those are probably the most difficult things, right? It's finding the time. We're all busy people with lives, and then planning out the logistics of it. I am curious, and we could probably chat GPT this or something, like
Yeah.
if you fed it all the locations of all the courses, like what would be the most optimal way, knowing like where places are, days of operation for the year or whatever. I wonder what the fastest someone could do the journey in. Because there's a lot of, I ended up doing a lot of back-to-back days at the end of the journey. Um, but yeah, I think those are the hardest things. Like just being able to plan out your days and go where and figure out how many courses you can play if you're willing to play more than one, and then just finding the time to do it.
So now that you mentioned Cape May, what's down in Cape May? Public course in Cape May that you can.
A lot, a lot. So again, it depends on what you care about.
Yeah.
But like big courses that are absolutely must see, Cape May National is down there. That's
Mhm.
very, very near the end of the state, down at the bottom, exit 0. And Shoregate is also in Cape May County, which
Yeah,
is
sure.
it's a phenomenal public course that I had. That was the nice part about the journey, is that there were so many places that I had never even heard of, and you go there and you're like, oh my goodness, this is like a serious golf course, right? Like it's beautiful, it's well conditioned, the layout is fantastic, and you may have never heard of it. But those are the big ones. They also have a course called Avalon, which runs through a community. It's a nice 18-hole course, and then they have a number of. They have one pitch and putt at a driving range, the Cape May Par 3 and driving range, and they have a series of 9-hole courses. Yeah, the Pines at Claremont, Heritage Links. There's a few like that. So yeah, there's a ton of public golf everywhere. I think that's one of the things that surprised me in making the list.
Yeah, I mean that's the cool thing about New Jersey is that you can literally. I mean, it's big. It takes you what 3 hours to go from one point to
Exactly,
another. You know,
exactly.
So it's somewhat doable. If you were in Texas, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the first things I wrote about. Like it is, it's exactly like you described. It's kind of a sweet spot where it's small enough, quote unquote, where you could get to it, right? It's day drives at the most, depending on where you live in the state. I'm sure if you live in Cape May or if you live up in High Point in Sussex County, it's difficult to plan out a lot of your journey at the opposite end of the state, but it's still completely doable. Um, but yeah, like you said, Texas or even Alaska. I don't know. Alaska probably has a handful of courses, but
Yeah,
eh, I don't know how far apart they are, and that could be
yeah,
serious traveling. Yeah.
yeah. So when did you finish? What was the date? So you started like summer 2015, and when was it? I think it was 2022. I read, or
Yeah.
2023 when you were done.
Yeah. So when I thought I was done with the courses I knew about and the Rose wasn't built yet, it was 2022, October, November of 2022, I believe. Yeah. So that was, let's call it 7 complete years, almost 8 years or something of really tracking the journey. And yeah, then the Rose was built, what was it, like 2024?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
2024. Yeah.
And I think that's when I went out and or I think soft opened in, I don't know, summer of 23, but I
Yeah.
finally made it there in 24, I think. So like I completed twice essentially.
So along this journey, like when was it that you were? Because we all have that moment when we start a project, right? Where you're like, okay, I want to do this, but then it's like, okay, now I'm serious about it, and now, okay, I have to do this. I can do this. When was that moment?
I think it was the first, like I said, when I heard about it, I think I was hooked immediately. And it was a question of just how long it was going to take. If he hadn't said that, if he hadn't said, um, there's no timeline, maybe I would have placed a timeline on myself and say, hey, within the next 5 years, I want to do this. Wouldn't have been able to do it. And then just said, okay, that's fine. I've played enough and I don't need to complete this. But I took that on myself as well. I said, okay, no matter how long this takes you, just take your time, catalog it. You have your list. And when you get to it, you get to it. I knew that I was going to do it. It was just a matter of when. When did I know for sure that it was actually going to get done? I think by the time that last year rolled around, I think my attitude started to switch. So as much as I appreciated there's no timeline, I also felt like, man, I'm sort of dedicating my golf to playing a course I haven't seen and maybe passing up on a round with friends because I'm like, no, I've played that place. I really need to knock another one off the list. And it was bothering me that maybe I was passing on golf with friends, right? And so I said, okay, in 2022, that's when I figured I'm finishing this thing for sure. And I made it a point to myself that that was the year I would finish. And very lucky to have spoken to someone who actually had courses that I didn't have on my list at the time. So I fully completed out the list and then said, let's plan out how to do this. And in that year, I did multiple back-to-back days. I did weekends where I played 36 on Saturday, 36 on Sunday. So the beginning of 2022 is when I knew for sure that I'm finishing this thing, no matter how long it takes, whether it's all year or, I can get it done by summer or whatever. And again, it took me till November to get it done.
Yeah, because that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize that I remember going out and taking pictures of a bunch of golf courses and waking up at 4:30, and I've enjoyed it. And then I started realizing that when I was doing this, I was like, I'm not really enjoying the golf. So
Exactly.
I'm like, it's like, okay, you know what, like, yeah, I got to do it because it's like, and then what I started doing at some point was that, okay, you know what, let me just go ahead, take a day where I just go take pictures, and then I'll go ahead and take a day with a friend or something where I'll go ahead and just play.
Yeah.
Obviously, that becomes harder if you're trying to do a bunch of places,
Yeah.
but it's just a lot of work just to keep going at it time after time.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, if it was something, I don't even know how, like if you made yourself a goal where you're like, I'm going to play a tournament in every county or something, that might be more difficult. I don't know for sure, but just something where there's like a little more preparation or work, I may not have done it. But this was a matter of just, and it was a slog, like you said. It's a moment where you're like, okay, I got to get out. And now that I made it a point for myself to finish this year, plan it out. Where am I going? Where am I playing 36 on Saturday? Can I do 36 on Sunday as well? And it was a grind. Yeah. But that's why I wanted to finish, like I said, because that feeling of am I really enjoying the golf? And I think the best part of this whole thing was traveling and seeing parts of the state that I may have never seen in my life otherwise, right? Like you can go up and down the parkway, you can go up and down the turnpike, and maybe some of the main highways that run east and west across the state. And there's just going to be like black holes for you. Like you know what lines the highway there, you know what lines some of the streets, but behind there, you don't know what communities are there. You don't know if there's a golf course there, right? You don't know if there's a restaurant that you might love to eat at or whatever. And that was again an unforeseen bonus to the trip. It was just wow, like here's life happening here in Jersey. I get to see it. I get to see this diner and this restaurant and this pizzeria and this thing that lines the golf course and this historical monument or whatever it is. Um, yeah, that for me was a great part of it.
Yeah, because I mean, even the moment that you mentioned Cape May, I was like, I've never played golf in Cape May, and it's like, it's just so like I was there last summer, and I mean, with the state, we always, especially when we're here, kind of like central and north, we don't tend. It's like a whole different country when you go down
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
but yeah, there are so many places down there that I definitely have to check out this year, at least one or two.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a perfect example for me. I had never been to Cape May, and honestly, I don't know if I would have gone. Like when I would go down the shore or whatever, I mean, it was really just the first leg of the shore on the parkway, and maybe there was a chance that I would have traveled for a vacation day or something, but the golf is what made me get there, right? I had a point to go visit Cape May at that point, and yeah, again, I thought that was an incredible bonus.
Yeah, so what was the one course that you were completely surprised, that you were like, oh my god, this is, not many people know about this, and this is just amazing.
There were probably a bunch. And I guess it depends. Like, there are not many people that know about it. It's hard to quantify today versus
Mhm.
in 2013, 2015, or definitely before that. Um, but there were so many courses where I was like, I just never would have come here again. I probably wouldn't have heard of it if I'm playing my same circle of Somerset County courses, or had I stayed up in Bergen County. I don't know how far I would have traveled, but Shoregate is absolutely one of them.
Sure, good.
Yeah, again, I was blown away, and that was at the end of a very long day of playing the courses in Cape May County, and I was like, "This is just a phenomenal walk. What a great golf course," and just had never heard of it. But there's so many. Again, Neshannock Valley was like that for me. I was in county. I finally got out to play in 2013 for the first time, I think. Just a beautiful golf course, and I know I've spoken to golfers from New Jersey, and they just say, what course? Like they don't know it exists, literally. And
Yeah.
again, that's why I said 2013, 2015 versus today. It's probably more difficult today with all social media, with all profiles, YouTube and everything, sharing stories and video and whatever else. It's a little bit harder to not hear about a course, I imagine. But yeah, those places, and then all the other big places that I still run into golfers today that have never played golf up in Sussex County. So the Crystal Springs courses,
Yeah.
Ballyowen, et cetera, they don't know about them, right? So that counts among the places where you go, and you're like, wow, this is something special. Um, I'm trying to think if there was along those lines. I think a nice story that I heard was there's a course, I think it's Atlantic County. I'm going to beat myself up for this now, but it's
Mhm.
called Pinelands. And someone told me a story of how it used to be called Pine Dirt. And this is after I'm telling them my experience there. But so I'm going in there expecting nothing, right? Not that I had heard that story, but I don't know anything about the course. And I go, and you can tell that they were building out the clubhouse and restaurant. So there was some new renovation going on.
Mhm.
And you could see some work on the course, like being cleaned up, conditions were being paid attention to. And that kind of thing for me, when you go in with zero or low expectations, and you're like, wow, this was a nice day of golf, and the course was decent. So stories like that, I'm probably missing another 5 or 10,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's plenty of places. Like if you haven't been around the state, I'm certain that you'll run into a course and you'll say, wow, this is cool. It's cool that I came down here.
So what are the three courses that, if you, okay, you know what, you're moving out of New Jersey, you're going down to, I don't know, California, and you're probably not going to be back here, and you absolutely have to play those three courses. What are those courses?
Oh, me when I come back?
No, like, you're like, okay, you know that you're moving someplace else, and unlikely that you're actually going to come back to New Jersey, and you
Okay, and
want
so
to go ahead and
which
please
ones would
play
stay in
there.
my head that I'm thinking about because I won't get a chance to play again?
Yeah,
Neshannock Valley. It's a personal favorite of mine. I think the first time I saw it, that's the first time I saw a very, very like I didn't know, right? I came from nothing in the golf world. Like I started
mhm,
playing pitch and putt courses and stayed on them probably too long. Um, and that's the first time I saw a very, very special place. And I said, wow. And today, the thing is, I think it still holds, right? Like I think if
yeah,
someone goes there, they may they may have some understanding or expectation about it, but they'll still feel like, okay, I'm somewhere special. Uh, and then the Crystal Springs courses, like those are some of the best quality conditions. I like the layouts. I know some people are not crazy about some of the courses there. It is in a community, the Crystal Springs course, the Wild Turkey
yeah,
course, so it's a little different, but if you separate yourself from that, they're just great golf courses. Those are I would say those two could be it. Ballyowen is fantastic, right? I wouldn't be um I wouldn't leave that off the list. But I've already gone beyond three. I say Neshannock Valley. You could honestly say Neshannock Valley alone. You have
yeah.
three routings there with the
Three,
three
yeah.
nines. But yeah, if I had to throw in two others, Crystal Springs and Wild Turkey come to mind immediately.
Yeah, I mean, Wild Turkey is a very enjoyable course, and definitely nice views, nice scenery. You can just be there relaxing and having a
Yeah,
drink and still have a good time, even if your
yeah.
golf sucks. Yeah, yeah. But what about holes? Is there one hole that stood up to you where like you were like, okay, I got to come back to this?
The first one that comes to mind is 11 at Crystal Springs. That downhill par three where you're hitting over the
Oh,
water into
11,
that.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, that like wishbone or not wishbone, but like butterfly green or whatever.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's picturesque. I mean, a number of people in social media profiles have covered. I have pictures and video of it. I'm sure that I posted. That's the first one that comes to mind. I don't know if I could name a par four or a par five. They're just so many that
Mhm.
yeah, in 175 courses they start to overlap, and none have really stood out. I may have to get back to you if there's one that I'm like, you know what, I really like that hole. Um, Yeah, but I would say 11 at Crystal Springs. That's a hole that everyone in New Jersey should be aware of.
Yeah, I tell you, I there was one week where I stayed out there with a couple of friends and their wives, and I played it. I think it was three times. Somehow, I three times I ended up in the wrong side of the hole.
On the
It was just
green
like
or
on the
just
green.
okay.
Yeah, well, not exactly on the green, but just
Yeah, yeah.
where I had no shot. But yeah, that's quite a whole it's very stunning, and it's hard to play because it's what, like 160, 170,
It
but it
depends
plays
on
a
the
lot less.
tees. Yeah.
Yeah, it plays a lot less. It's I mean, that whole place, I spent quite a lot of time there, yeah, like 2015. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to do in playing in there.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about the like public golf in New Jersey nowadays? I obviously I was having a conversation with a friend, and about how things have just they're after COVID everything has changed, right?
Yeah.
And
I
it's
was
just
going to say, so
yeah.
New Jersey's probably not alone, right? I think
Mhm.
tee time availability is a night and day comparison pre-COVID and post-COVID. And to be completely honest, I think while I started the journey in 2015 and played through 2016 and on, I wasn't playing that often. And I don't think it dawned on me. I remember waiting on tee boxes back then too, right? It's not like everything was flying. You could still get a busy day, especially in New Jersey on the weekend. There were counties that were always difficult to book. Monmouth County is notorious for that. They have a phenomenal set of public golf courses, but it's very difficult to get a tee time on the weekend. Bergen County, where I grew up, it's no different. I didn't get back there until much later after I had left, but it's also notorious for the same thing. It's very hard to find a tee time on the weekend. But yeah, now it is especially different. And I think it's fine. I think it's a sign that the game is in a healthy state, right? If someone is concerned, whether it's the National Golf Foundation or the PGA or the USGA, they got to be happy that a ton of people have come out and tried to play the game. But for the average golfer, I guess it makes it more annoying, right? Like if you're looking to have some leisure time and spend some time with friends, you got to look. Maybe you got to travel a little bit. Maybe you got to play a course that you would rather play, you know, I don't know, if it were $50 cheaper or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where the game is, and I think I'm okay with it. Would I love for golf to be cheaper and more accessible? Sure, but yeah, it's a good thing. It's thriving right now.
Yeah. So, what do you think makes public golf special? Obviously, like there's always, I mean, there's a bunch of private golf courses in New Jersey, but what do you think makes being a public golfer special?
Uh, that anybody can do it. I think as someone who, I mean, when I tell you that I don't think I knew golf existed literally until some friends of mine, they had parents that played or something, and they said, "Hey, let's go do this thing," right? And I drove by with my family this pitch and putt course where we started playing. I don't know what, maybe 100 times in my life up to that point, and literally, while it was off the side of the road. It was called Hillman's Golf Land. This is in Elmwood Park, New Jersey,
Hmm.
and I mean, I completely ignored it. It's you could not miss it. It was nothing but the road, and then the road down the entrance road down to the parking lot, and you see nothing but the driving range. That you can see the pitch and putt course. You can see it has a mini golf facility, and it was not in my mind at all until I had actually went and played it with friends at whatever we were, 17, 18, and the same for golf as a whole, right? Golf beyond mini golf or putt putt or whatever, it didn't exist for me. Um, so knowing now that you can just go play, you can find a set of clubs on whatever Facebook Marketplace in a thrift store. You can go to Walmart and buy a half set or whatever, and you can literally just go play. We should educate yourself about the etiquette and understanding what it is and what you need, balls, tees, etc. But anybody can play, and for me, like I said, as someone who didn't know golf existed, essentially, I thought that was amazing because that made, while there's a barrier to entry with cost, right? Like you have to
Yeah.
pay whatever it is, $50 for a round or whatever. But to me, it made it like playing a pickup game of basketball or stickball or baseball or whatever with friends. Like I didn't know this was something we could do. And that to me is the best part of public golf, right? Because there is the other side of it, right? There is the exclusivity and private golf clubs, and they are some of the most phenomenal places on earth, right? To be there to see what people do with the land and the membership and what the amenities are at the club. Those are phenomenal places too, but they're exclusive, right? So I would say I don't know what 95, 98% plus percent of people may never join a private course or may not have the opportunity to. So for me, public golf, that's what's special, right? It is for anyone that wants to try. And I would encourage absolutely anyone to pick a club once in their life, go to a driving range, go to a pitch and putt course if you can, and try the game because it was that moment for me was special. It just felt like, wow, this is something different and I'm enjoying this. I found that I like spending time doing this with friends or even alone or whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I always give the story of when I started playing golf. Galloping Hill was my spot, and I used to be there at 5:30. And it just you get so many different personalities, and everyone, just it's just very laid back, and you're just going out there and enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that I think that's the coolest thing about public golf is that you just get different people from many different places and many different backgrounds.
Yeah.
um
That's such a good part of the game too. I think as someone who most of my life was and still am to an extent very introverted. Like I'm not a socialite. I didn't go out much, and I didn't like crave that interaction with whatever nightclubs, bars, etc. But golf was a great way, like you said, to meet people. And I think that's one of the things that scares the average person of trying to go play a public place, especially if you feel concerned about like the state of your game and maybe I'm not good enough to get out there. But yes, you can run into somebody who is a tough time to be with. I think it's super, super rare. I don't remember an example of that. In playing 175 courses and traveling and playing golf elsewhere, I can't remember a time where I was like, man, I really did not enjoy my time meeting this person and, sharing a couple words with them or whatever. Most people are great. They're just there to have a good time, and you may or may not stir up a chat, but yeah, that's one of the cool parts. When you do, it's one of the cool parts of the game to be like, all right, I met this complete stranger. We share this interest in this game, and now we get to talk about whatever else.
Yeah, good thing that you said that, because I remember having people come up to me and tell me, "Hey, how come you're always playing alone? Like you just go by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you just go and listen. Most of the time, you find people that are the same level as you. From time to time, you might have a really, really, really good golfer that kind of like intimidates you." But for the most part, it's like, hey, you're just regular people like you, just trying to have a good time. And I have to say, a lot of people just don't talk that much in the course. You might have a chatter, one that doesn't shut up, but for the most part, people just like they go about their day, and it's a way for you to
Yeah,
you know be by
exactly.
yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so to the point of if someone's intimidated to try and do that to get paired up with someone, yeah, you're probably not going to find people that want to intrude on your day with their conversation. You're going to find people that are there with themselves and or with, one playing partner, and they're just there to chat with each other, or they're just there to enjoy their round, and they may or may not talk to you. Yeah, it's okay either way, I think.
Yeah. So now looking back at this journey, what is one thing that you probably would say to yourself, "Oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I could have done it better."
Ooh, wow. That's a good question. I don't know if I've thought about that. What could I have done better? I will say, so not a part of the journey, and this is a word of advice to if there's like someone listening to the podcast that's maybe just getting into the game. I wish I got out there sooner. So, like I said, I started playing at Hillman's and other pitch and putt courses. We would go out of our way to only play pitch and putt courses, and that meant going into Rockland County, New York, where they have an executive course. Going to Orange County, there was a par 3 course there. We didn't feel comfortable, like because we felt we didn't belong on a regular length, and maybe not championship, but a regular
Yeah.
length par 72 course. And that's something I did wrong in my life, not necessarily part of the journey, but I wish me and my friends had gotten out to regular courses sooner. I think it would have been worth it. I probably would have started this journey where I played more of them earlier. Um, but yeah, that's one regret I have, is not going out there sooner.
Now, do you recommend anybody trying
The
playing playing
journey,
this
the
game?
quest of playing all the publics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear it and you have that thought, like maybe I want to do that, that sounds exciting. Again, the way I'm selling it, it is a lot of time, and it will get annoying after a while having this hang over your head. If I would say go in with the same mindset where you feel like there's no timeline, because you can play again 60, 70, 80 years old, you'll still be able to play the game. And
Hmm.
especially if you're just looking to say I've been somewhere, right? You don't even need to play well, right? You can knock it around from the forward tees and say, okay, this one's off the list. If you feel like
Which is
that,
very fun, by the way. Very fun to play from the forward tees.
oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but if you feel like that, like, hey, that sounds exciting, I'm selling you on the fact that you don't need to get this done immediately. I'm selling you on the fact that you will travel and see places that you may have not seen otherwise in your life. And that to me is, you have one chance on this earth, right? Like, why not go see as much as you can?
Yeah.
And if there's an excuse to play golf and enjoy yourself and maybe see some other things or enrich your life in another way, why not do it? But yeah, be ready for it's a lot of course. I will say this: it was 175 and then 176 when the Rose was opened, but some courses have closed since then, so it's a little bit easier. It may be
Yeah.
like 168 or 169 now or something. So you get a shorter journey than I had, but it is a lot. But yeah, if the idea means something to you, do it. I would say just do it, or at least try.
So, what was the one year that you played the most courses? Like, what was that number?
Had to be 2022. I don't have it in front of me, but I think because I was doing those 36 whole days on Saturday, 36 on Sunday, I think I may have played around 50 courses in total. in
Wow.
2022. Yeah. And so that's
That's
crazy
a
to think now, right? If I'm right, I'll go check the numbers after this. But if I'm right, that's basically a quarter, almost a third of the journey in 1 year, right? And the rest of the time, I may have played 10 new ones or 15 new ones or whatever. But that's the most I think I played in 1 year was getting to that last leg, and I do believe it was 50, something like that.
So as we start wrapping this up, what is there a new project in mind? Is there anything that you're looking to do in golf, or like, okay, you know what, that's it, I'm done with it. Now I'm just about to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to enjoy it. And that's that goal in that last year, which is like, I'd like to get back to playing golf wherever. It doesn't matter that I haven't been somewhere because at that point I will have been to all the publics in the state. I'm playing golf with friends. I've traveled, right? So I've done a number of golf trips now also over the last however many years. And that to me has been incredible, right? Feeling like I have the time to do that, truly enjoy the game, enjoy the experience with other people. I have a side project I'm working on where I'm building a brand, NGLB Golf. We're on Instagram, and
Mhm.
it's me and two friends, and we have a great time playing, whether it's after work or setting up rounds on the weekend, and just sharing that lighter side of the game where almost like we talked about, it can be there's an element and a part of the game that can be for everyone. Public golf can be for everyone, and so we go and we enjoy ourselves, and yeah, that's been exciting for me.
Nice, nice. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time today. I definitely I kind of have the itch to go out and play a bunch of public courses, especially down in Cape May. It just for some reason it just stood out to me. I was like, I haven't played there, so I'm definitely gonna look into it to see if I maybe do a little vacation with the family and get away,
Nice.
get away
Yeah,
from playing
enjoy.
golf.
I completely recommend it. And whether it's Cape May or anywhere else, like I maintain a list on the site of what I consider the must play publics. And even if it's just that, even if it's one course in every county, go do it. Like go have fun, go see part of the world that you haven't been to, a course that you haven't been to. It's completely worth it.
So if somebody wants to go to your website, with like, where can they find some of this stuff or the journey? I know it may be, uh, where can they find you?
Yeah. So the website is orosas.golf. And I have a menu where you can see a couple of pages where I maintain a list of all the public courses. I have when I played them, but I have links to most of the courses' sites if they have a website and profile. And then I have a page there that's must play public. So again, the website is orosas.golf. If you want to follow me, I'm not too active on Instagram on my personal profile, but you can find me at Orson Rosas. And again, if you're interested in that lighter side of the game where we're just sharing that experience of the everyman on the golf course, you can find me also with my partners at NGLB Golf on Instagram.
Yeah, big golf. Well, listen, thank you so much for the time, and I really enjoyed this. And hopefully, you know what, we got to go out and play some golf this spring. I mean, after all these snows melts,
Yeah, there's a
hopefully
nice
we.
blanket out there right now, but yeah, I'll hold you to that. Let's get out there this year. I appreciate that, Denny.
Perfect. Thank you, man.
All right, thank you.